You know, as a guy who likes to hunt, and likes to hunt with a lot of different things, and likes to hunt a lot of different species, you know, expanding my horizons has always been fun. And I first got exposed to handgun hunting about 15 years ago. Several guys were in a camp that were hunting with handguns, and man, they were really good. I mean, like, I was amazed, and I was actually a little intimidated by the handguns they were shooting. I think, holy cow. But as time passed on, I began to embrace and learn more about handguns and their, you know, what they do, how they perform, because it's a totally different way of hunting as far as, you know, what you do as the hunter. I mean, you still have to hunt the same way you would with a bow or a crossbow or a rifle or whatever it may be. You know, you're still trying to get as close as you possibly can to make as most ethical shots that you can. You still got to use all those woodman skills, but you're doing it with a different, basically, firearm, different weapon in those situations. And so I was learning about, you know, the velocities of 460s and 500s and 44 mags and other calibers out there, and the different types of bullets and how they performed and everything, and then using what I already knew about hunting and the anatomy of different game to make shots. And I remember, you know, different hunts that I went on, handgun hunting, and the accomplishments. Because what I learned through all this is my trigger pull, I really had to concentrate on it. I had to get better at it. I had to learn all the different aiming type devices out there, because there's a lot of them. What was gonna suit me best? Was it gonna be a scope, open sights, a red dot? What types of each one of them out there? Because there's a vast array of them out there. And so just like anything in hunting, whether you're looking at the calibers, you're looking at the platforms, you're looking at the bullets, there's just as many of them in handguns that you have to take into account.
The best way to dive into handgun hunting is by getting out to the range. Let's join Wade and Michael there now, as they are enjoying shooting some new targets from Birchwood and Casey.
We got these great targets from Birchwood and Casey, and you know, shooting's supposed to be fun, and there's lots of different things. You know, people will shoot steel targets or whatever. We got a pool rack right here, the numbers are on there, so we're just gonna take turns and see who can get the most numbers to their credit. And it might be 0-0 when we're all said and done. You never know, but you know what? We're gonna have fun. We're gonna pull the trigger. Ah, he cut the one.
Ooh, that was a good one.
That's a good one. That's a bullseye.
That was a real good one.
That's just pretty fun. You know, target shooting to me is supposed to be fun, and the time you spend doing this really helps your trigger pull for when you get into hunting season. For any type of firearm, you can have a little fun with these targets. They've got a deer target, they've got a silhouette target, they've got just a standard plate looking target, and then we've got these pool balls right here. This is, you know, pretty interesting. We're shooting little spots like that. I'm gonna blame it on my old eyes. I don't know what Michael's excuse is.
You got no excuse.
Ooh, got it.
On top of it.
Got her. Hello. Golly, right in
that means you
between.
lose.
Yeah, I lost
eight ball,
it.
you
Eight
lose.
ball. You know, the thing about targets is you want to put holes in them. It's just a fun thing to be able to do. That's a little 9 there from Smith & Wesson that you can just get out here and take shots at. Michael shooting the 10, which is a classic from Smith & Wesson. We kind of updated both of these guns and put high-vis sights on them. Makes it easier for us to go in and acquire our target. It's just good practice for trigger control. And we're gonna miss and we're gonna hit the bullseye some, but that's the fun thing about spending time on the range, getting to learn the firearms and putting some holes in targets.
When we return, we'll show you how Wade likes to customize his handgun.
When it comes to customizing any type of firearm or bow or whatever you may be using in life, there's always going to be options. You know, the factory setups a lot of times are more than fine for a lot of things out there, but if you want to maximize the performance, you can add some things to a lot of firearms. Smith & Wesson, for instance, you can go through the Performance Center and make your triggers a little crisper, a little less poundage for the pull. You can get more balance built into them. You can lower the muzzle, the flip, by having some of the brakes and things they're going to have set up in them. And some of their high-powered hunting ones, they really kind of set them up so you've got more weight, so you're going to not have that oomph and that recoil. But the traditional straight off the shelf old Smith & Wessons are going to be hard to beat, and the Shields and your Model 629 Classics that are out there. But one thing I definitely like to do with about every one I get is I like to upgrade my sights, and it's very easy to do for the majority of the models. You can take a high-vis product, and for eyes like mine, it really makes it easier to acquire the target.
High-vis probably has the most complete product line for a fiber optic type sight company. Recreational shooting, self-defense, personal carry, law enforcement, and then into tritium sights. We have a complete line, and that goes for a lot of applications, both handgun, shotgun, rifle. There's no part of the shooting industry that we don't offer something for, we're not involved in.
They light up phenomenally. They're great for your pop-up blinds. Obviously out in the open air, they're gonna really shine. But in those dark, confined areas, they gather all the light, allow you an incredible aiming point, and allows you to pick up where you're trying to aim. So what we're doing right now is spending some time down on the range practicing our trigger pull. We're gonna be hunting soon with this handgun right here. It's a 10mm from Smith & Wesson, one of the many firearms in their lineup. And my goal when I come down to the range is always to kind of simulate my hunting scenarios, practice, the different things that I'm gonna anticipate happening while I'm out there. I'm gonna be hunting on this one, depending on what the deer are doing, probably in a ground blind, maybe even sitting on the ground behind some brush. And I want them inside of 30 yards. Right now I'm practicing just under 15. I've got open sights, and I'm trying to learn some new ammo that I recently picked up. I mean, we're all dealing with an ammo shortage, so you kind of got to take what you can get right now and practicing. And right now I'm shooting a little high and a little left. And open sights is a different challenge. For some people it's easy, for some people it's hard. But as I learn a little bit more about this handgun, the ammo, and what I can personally do with it, I'll dial it in and we'll head out into a hunting scenario and see how this performs. I know it's going to perform very well as long as I don't mess it up when it's all said and done. Well, good morning. We've got the 16 Classic and 10mm from Smith & Wesson in our hands today, and we're either going to try to take a doe or a hog to fill the freezer with a little bit. This is a great handgun for hunting and personal defense and just fun shooting. I've actually got the 6.5-inch barrel right here because I like it. It's going to give you the maximum amount of velocity that you can get out of this round, I feel. And we've also kind of tweaked this a little bit. We've added a high-vis sight as well for when we're in a hunting situation. It works just as good if you're in personal defense or target shooting as well, obviously. And it'll allow us to acquire our target a little bit faster and basically see it a little better. So we're gonna let the sun come up here. We've got a little bit of time to wait and see if we can't get something out in front of us.
Unfortunately, this morning it was all young deer, or deer that either stayed just out of Wade's comfortable range or behind the brush, so Wade's going home empty-handed. But hey, that's hunting. When we return, we'll look back at one of the best whitetail bucks Wade's ever taken with a handgun. Stay tuned. We're going back to one of Wade's earliest open-sight handgun hunts with a Model 460 XVR from the Smith & Wesson Performance Center.
The Smith & Wesson Performance Center 460 XVR, this is a finely tuned handgun. It's got a 5-shot capacity, features a 7.5-inch barrel with a muzzle brake. The sights themselves are fiber optic from high-vis, and what basically allows you for quicker target acquisition. And for me, I'm going to be using this in tight confines, and that's really going to help a lot. Overall, I was impressed with how easy it was for me to find both my targets in the field and on the range with this exact setup. Every time I shot it, I was so comfortable with everything about this revolver. I mean, it just fit me perfectly right out of the box. You know, you may personally look at this gun and say, good God, it's gonna kick like a mule. But let me tell you, it really doesn't, thanks to several features. It's got a muzzle brake and an unfluted cylinder, and it's basically been fine-tuned for those of us out there that like these big handguns. It's got a smooth, light trigger, and it's gonna help you dial into your shots quickly for accuracy. And I'm telling you, if you haven't shot one of these, you need to go do it. You're gonna get addicted to it just like I did. So make sure and pick one up and take up the challenge of handgun hunting.
Wade heads out to the pop-up blind set up for the XVR's debut in the field.
We've taken a pop-up blind by Cabela's and we've pushed it into this persimmon tree. I mean, literally trimmed, brushed around, shoved it up in there, maneuvered it around, and got it set up. And the reason why is recently there's been a lot of rain and tons of forbs and stuff popped up out there. Primarily these deer have been eating broomweed out in the middle of this big flat out in front of us. And you'll see it as we start getting out there. And they've ate most all of it down. I think they go in and nip off a lot of these flowers when they first comes up, or some little seed bud on there. But that's what a lot of these deer were primarily eating on. We took a stealth cam and set it up by a tree along one of the big trails. They've been coming there, threw a little bit of corn out there so we can get them to stop as well, and got pictures of 2 really good deer and several other deer that were somewhat consistent as well. So we're gonna ease up here. The sun's gonna set back over here. The wind's cutting across here, and based on what we're seeing, when, you know, with both our eyes scouting and the camera, is these deer are just milling all out there. So we'll probably see deer at all sorts of ranges. Let's hike on in.
When we return, Wade gets settled into the blind, and the deer start trickling in when Wade comes face to face with one of his best handgun bucks ever. Wade settled into the blind with his Smith & Wesson Performance Center 460 XVR handgun, shooting open sights from high vis.
One of the number one things I do every time I get in a stand, any hunting situation, I try to simulate in my mind what's going to happen, where I'm going to be aiming at, you know, what I'm dealing with, you know, what's it going to feel like to draw a bow in here or raise a crossbow, you know, where are my aiming points with everything that I'm going to be hunting with, what am I going to see, and I just find that really helps me at that moment of truth because I've already kind of visually played it in my mind what's going to go on. Got him. Got him. Got him. Smoke that guy. Whew. That's what I'm talking about right there. Did you see him come running across that field there? He came in. There was 2 or 3 other deer milling around. I mean, I guess they like his little shade here or there. I'm definitely a little shook up. You see the gun shaking a little bit right there. That's a giant. You see all those tines? I mean, he's on one side's got an extra tine coming out here. He curves in. He's got brow tines going that way. That's what I'm talking about from the Performance Center right there. Smoke that deer. Golly. That's so fun. You know, I have really taken to this handgun hunting and getting involved in it and spending time down on the range and shooting. And I mean, they just perform so well in the field. I mean, when you can, you know, get out there and practice and take the time, I mean, you can just do some phenomenal shooting with it. I've been practicing at all distances, all ranges with several different calibers. So that was pretty cool right there. Give him a second and we'll go take a look. I mean, he ran right back down this road. It's broadside right there. Feeling pretty good. We've got blood all right through here. It's spraying out both sides of him. That's not blood there. I think he went that way. There's blood right here too. Keep the search going. I like it better in this dirt than I do in this grass. Right there, buddy. Right there. I mean, he's right there in that broomweed. In the grass. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look at this buck right here. That's gonna be the exit wound right there. Wow. Wow. Look at that. You talk about character on a deer. I mean, this deer has all kinds of character. I mean, look at this. It's like a channel with an extra tine right here. I mean, you got it. I mean, right here, another one curves in up here, goes out here. Look at this brow tine hooking this way. This brow tine's going this way. I mean, what a stud. I mean, this is an old timer too. That is a phenomenal buck. And I mean, talk about center punching one. We center punch that one thanks to that Performance Center 460. You know, that's a new model that they've got, and it just has been a blast to shoot. What a buck. Love the character of this deer here.
Learn more about hunting handguns or handguns in general by visiting smith-wesson.com. Once again, this is a look back at one of Wade's best handgun bucks ever. Send us a note about something you'd like to see us show at info@deergeartv.com.